We're back.
We're back. Episode 8.
Wow, I can't believe we've done 8 episodes.
I know, that's 2 months worth. I was just thinking about that today. Because you know what I mean? Once a week.
And like we've been really, really dedicated. Like I'm so proud of us. Even though like I think about it and I'm like, oh, we have like some days been like, oof, this is rough to do it. But like we've gotten here, we did it. And like I feel like our conversations, whether we have guests or no guests, are always like really good.
Yeah, no, I think we're hitting
if I toot my own horn.
We think we're doing great. I don't know what you guys are thinking, but we're doing great. But yeah, no. How the hell are you?
Okay.
I feel you're a little stressed.
Let me just tell you.
Okay.
Oh my God. This is why I'm upset. And I just looked down.
Okay.
I got a gel manicure.
Tough.
3 or 4 days ago. I had to get 2 fixed. No, 3 fixed.
Tragic.
These 2 and this one yesterday. Now I have to go back tomorrow and get these 2 fixed. Isn't a gel manicure like not supposed to
chippy chip?
I
believe they call it the no chip.
Yes. And I literally was like, what the fuck? I'm like actually upset about it. And now that I just looked down and I was doing yoga the other day and I was like, oh wow, I've got
That'll
chips.
ruin your zen real fast.
I can't even look down because another one chipped. So that. And then also
I texted her at like 9 a.m. today and she was like, I hate everything and everyone. I want everything to die. And I was like, okay.
I didn't say I want everything to die, but I did say I do hate everybody
she
and
said
everything.
Something really similar though.
I think, honestly, I'm really trying to. So since our conversation with Morgan last week, and she was like, I'm trying to lean into like the hibernation and just like it getting cold and dark and like do nothing. So I'm really trying to lean into that. And then life is like, sucker, you're not leaning into that.
Yeah.
And I think that like opposite of like, I just want to chill, but not being able to chill is bothering me.
Yeah.
And I think that that's why I'm just like overwhelmed with like even the smallest text of like, hey, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, no. It's just all getting to me.
Stop.
Yeah. So I think that's why this morning I was like, it just felt like this overwhelming like type of thing. Like even on Friday I have good things going on, but it just feels like I have so much going on and I'm like
I just want to sit down.
Like, can I just say no to everything? But like I have 3rd row seats to the Bulls game. Like, no, I'm not going to say no. Like I actually want to go to that, but then like there's a Friendsgiving. It's just like so much.
Yeah.
You know? How are you? Now that I just like literally just released all of
that's
my
what
things.
this is for. I'm fine. I was thinking this morning that the allergens in the air were high. Like I was Googling like who's floating around today. And what I've come up with is that the dander and the dust is high. I've been fucking sneezing all day, but now as like the day's coming to a close, I'm like, do I just have cooties? Like I can't. And I really hope it's just
Did you get your cootie shot?
severe. My flu cootie shot?
No, just your cootie shot.
Oh. Not this year, no.
I didn't get my flu shot either. Did you get yours? Do you get yours? I probably should because I always get sick.
Technically, I must because I pick up time in the cancer center and those people are not well. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just haven't quite gotten around to it.
Yeah.
You know, but I will.
I should get mine.
Also, I had the flu once and I thought that was it. I was like, this is how I'm going to die, actually.
Yeah, I have as well. I mean, I'm always sick, let's be real, but I think it's more because I rode myself down versus like getting sick.
Yeah, no, when I had the flu, I incidentally found out that I had the flu at the gyno when she had a like speculum in my vagina and I was febrile and she was like, is your blood pressure always high? And I was like, I think something's wrong.
I think I'm dying.
And they called me 2 hours later and I was like, either have gonorrhea or the flu. It was the flu.
One or the other.
But again, worst 48 hours of my life.
Damn.
Yeah. So now I get
How was your weekend?
It was really good. It was my boyfriend's birthday on Saturday.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to him. No, I'm just
Thomas, if you're listening, this is a public apology. And I already texted him too, and I was like, we need a double date and we need to go out, so he knows. I text him instead of you now.
That's fine. He's more reliable anyways. But yeah, it was his birthday on Saturday, so him and Marlon came to my class, and then we like hung out, and then I took him to dinner, and then
Where'd you go to dinner?
RPM Seafood.
Ooh, you fancy bitch.
Delish.
So good.
And then I had a little surprise drinks gathering for him, and
was he so surprised?
He was, and he's like got the feels. And later he told me he was like, I was trying not to like shed a tear. But then in the middle, like when everyone was like talking and hanging, Jordan or Marlon was like, "Where's Jordan?" And I was like, "I
He
invited
texted
her."
me at like 9:45. Okay, so I had we had brunch, or I taught 3 classes in the morning, and then we had brunch, and then we had some drinks, and then I was like, you know what, I'm just going to take a nap, and then I'll go.
It turned into 9 hours
Turned
of REM
into
cycle.
basically just like dead ass sleep.
It's totally fine.
So that was a boo-boo on me.
Well,
so
if it
I owe
makes
you
you
all
feel
a night out.
If it makes you feel any better, at like 10 o'clock, he was like, well, we got there at like 8:50, and at 10 o'clock, he was like, I think I need to go home. And I was like, this is your party? We need to stay for a little longer.
You cannot leave your own party.
He texted me in 30-minute increments being like, 30 more minutes. I gotta get out of here.
It's his party.
It's his party. But yeah, so we did that. And then I was a piece of literal garbage yesterday. Big Bills win yesterday.
I heard.
Big Bills win
Darius
yesterday.
this morning was like, did you see Taylor's team?
He
They
messaged
won?
me on Instagram.
And I was
He's like, big W. I was like, yeah, I know.
I was like, no, I didn't see. I was like, I thought they're undefeated. He was like, no, they've lost, but they defeated don't tell me, you defeated the Chiefs, which is Kelsey and the guy with the curly hair.
Patrick Mahomes.
See? I know football. Go sports.
It was a great game. Great game. But yeah, that's so I had a good weekend.
Good.
But I'm just hoping that these are allergens and not cooties
I think they're
happening.
allergens.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm
gonna say,
manifesting that as well.
Yeah, allergens for sure.
Love that for me.
Well, speaking of dates and boys and all the things, we've got, so as we sat down, we were like, what should we talk about this week? We had a lot of questions about like dating in your 30s come through, and both of us are in our 30s and in relationships. But that's not to say that we don't know what dating is like.
And also, I just exited the dating game.
I did
less
3
than
years
a year
ago.
Yeah, well, mine was less than a year ago, so my input is a little more fresh. But
I can still talk
no,
whatever,
please
or
do.
like friends and all that stuff. But we thought that this would be like a fun little episode.
Little girly talk.
But let's start with like where we are today. And
Yeah.
we mentioned Thomas and Darius. So how'd you meet Thomas?
I was done going on dates, actually. I had done the dating app situ for quite some time. And Chicago Hinge is the trenches. Like, I don't know how long it's been since you've been there. But oh my God, I've never experienced so many... like, I wish I had the confidence of some of these average white men.
Oh, the things that
Average
say,
white, sort of not tall men. Okay?
No, let's just say short.
Like, okay, but I don't want people to think I was talking to like the 5'7s because I wasn't, but like.
Why? Short kings are in.
I don't know. Historically, anybody I've ever dated is like 6 feet or taller.
How tall is Thomas?
Like he'll tell you he's 5'11, but I'll give him 5'10, maybe. He's like, well, in the morning, I'm like, it's all the same.
In the morning, he's taller.
Yeah, that's what he says. But yeah, so I was done going on dates. And then one of my coworkers was like, you should go on a date with my chiropractor. And I was like, no, thank you. And then she's like, come on, he's really nice. And blah, blah, blah. And then she showed me this like not really attractive photo of him from his work website. And I was like, I don't think so. And then she gave him my number without telling me. And then he texted me and was like, hey, so great to meet you. And I was like, oh, fuck.
You did this behind my back.
Behind my back. Yeah. So then I was like, all right, whatever, I'll go. And then, yeah, here we are.
Okay, that's not exactly what happened.
No, it's not exactly what happened. We went on.
I love that you're just like, yeah, now here we are.
Now,
that's not what happened.
There was no.
Come on, give the girls what they
issues
want.
involved. No, yeah. So we went on a couple of dates. Actually, I saw him like 2 or 3 times a week, every week from the first day that like we went out the first time. And I can say like he's the most lovely person I've ever met. I say this all the time to him and I say it to other people. Like, I don't know how I got myself in this situation to be with such a great human being. Like, he's wonderful. But in the beginning, when we had been hanging out for a little while, he was very sure. Like, he was like, at one point he was like, I'm done, like dating other people. Like, I'm not, like, I'm all set. Like, I'm good with you. And I was like, really? I don't know about that. I just have always lived. And I don't know, I have like a traumatic like view of relationships, I think, just from my own and also like parental dynamic and all that jazz. So I just have always been a believer that I don't know that there's like a forever person for somebody. I think that someone comes into your life and you're meant to love them for the amount of time that you are. And like sometimes that's 60 days, sometimes it's 6 months, sometimes it's 6 years, 60 years, like whatever it is. And like they serve the purpose for you that they need to serve. And then sometimes you move on. So like the idea of like a forever person is a strange concept to me. But I feel like now that like I'm in my 30s, that's how people look at you and your relationship. Yes. You know, they're like, do you think he's the one?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know if what I ate for breakfast was correct today. Like, I don't like,
there's
that's
a lot of pressure that comes with
and again, like, I will say that philosophy that I have probably stems from like years of like me having abandonment issues and also like severe self-esteem issues where I like lived in this bubble where I felt I was destined to be left for like the next better version of me. That's like the only way I can describe it. Yeah. And I think that's why, I mean, I dated my ex before this for like 6 years and I don't have one bad thing to say about him. He's also a lovely person, but we grew up, you know?
Yeah.
And I think I stayed in that relationship longer than I should have because I was like, he's lovely and he'll never leave. Mm-hmm. So like coming from that mindset to then like all of a sudden having someone that you've just met be like, I'm figured it out. I'm good.
Sold.
Yeah. It was a little, so I like did this thing for a while where I was like, I don't really know like what we're doing or if I like him or like I was putting on this facade. Yeah. And then one of my very good friends, Sarah, who actually listens to every episode, so she'll have something to say about this. But I was like, she was asking me, like, she's like, what's the deal, like, with this guy or whatever? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, we spend time together, but like, I'm keeping my, like, she was like, if someone else asked you on a date, would you go? And I was like, I mean, yeah, I'd probably like still. And I gave her this whole runaround and she literally looked me in the face. She's like, you need to grow the fuck up. And I was like, okay. Like,
it's hard. It's hard to like put yourself out there, be afraid of getting hurt,
yes,
be afraid of like getting into something and being like, I want to be sure, but I don't know if I'm sure. And dating is so hard, especially in your 30s.
It is.
Because you're mostly, some people are, but mostly you're not dating to fuck around.
Yeah.
You're dating to like find a person, whether it's the person, whatever, you're dating to find a person. And so there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, whether it's like the pressure we put on ourselves, external pressures, whatever it is. So I get it. Like you don't want to fully just be like, okay, but then you're like, I do, but I don't.
But I don't. And then when you just start to get comfortable being vulnerable with yourself to then have to be vulnerable with someone else is kind of like, I don't know, it was uncharted waters. And like I had a conversation with my therapist about it, obviously, and I just was like, I don't know, sometimes I'm like annoyed. And she was like, but like anxiety can manifest itself as annoyance in some situations. She's like, I think you're just like super anxious. So then at like some point I gave him this spiel where I was like, it's too much. We need to pull it back. Like, I need to figure like whatever. And like 3 seconds after he stopped giving me as much attention, I was like, but where's my attention?
Hello.
Like immediately he's done everything that I've asked him to do.
Say, he's doing exactly what you told him to. And now you're like, why are you listening to me?
I literally was just like, I think we just need to like pull it back. Like just like we're running and I'd like to walk perhaps. And like then immediately the next day I was like, hello.
Like, knock, knock. What are you doing?
And my best friend Marlon, he was like, you're such a bitch. I was like, no, yeah, I really am.
We're confused. Girlies are confused.
Yeah, it's hard. So I went through that little navigational period and now here we are. And I'm happier than ever. And he's lovely.
And how long have you been dating?
We went on our first date at like the end of January last year.
Oh my God, wow.
So, yeah.
That's like a long time.
It's been kind of a long
wow, Thomas is a patient man.
He is.
I feel like it was
because
only
I'm a
like
fucking crazy person.
A few months ago that you were finally like, yep, we're there.
Yeah, it was in June. So my birthday was in June. Actually, he's gonna kill me for saying this, but whatever. For my birthday,
this is what you signed up for.
He got me some stuff for my birthday, and then he like in like the card or whatever. So I have all these heaty pad stuffed animals. Because a girl has a menstrual cycle, you know? And they might as well be cute and smell like lavender if they're going to be around, you know? So he got me one of these like weighted like whatever in addition to some other stuff. And it was an otter. And in like this card that he gave me, it said at the end of it, like, I hope someday you consider me your otter half.
Oh,
which is like so fucking corny. Cute. It's so cute. Yeah.
Wait, I love that. And Thomas, I love you.
And then my friend Marlon was
I love otters too.
He was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, and I was like, okay. Like, yeah. So
that's so cute.
Yeah. So then yes, but honestly, you know what? He's known since day one that I am not like, I'm a very complex human being sometimes.
He's been very patient, and that's why it works. Like different personalities work together for that understanding, growth, all of that stuff.
Yes, and he makes me very like I will joke around that like I am the boyfriend because like I'm so like aggressive and just like don't care about shit half the time, and I'm just like, this doesn't even matter, like move on, you know, like and he's so much more like soft and like mushy gushy and like I think men have this like, because he said it to me before that there's this like persona where like women don't want like a mushy gushy guy because like we have to be men, you know? And like I need a little soft personally. Like I am a better me with a little bit of that. So he's made me a better me.
Totally. And I don't think with the mushy, like Thomas is a man. Like he is a 100%. Man. And so I feel like
he just has emotions and shares them, which is rare.
Very rare. Yeah. But I think that's why he's a good one is because he's vulnerable enough and quote unquote like man, that side of him is confident enough to be able to share those emotions. You know what I mean? Which is rare because I think to that point, a lot of men don't want to show their emotions. Like they want to keep everything bottled up and think that like everything's okay, which comes from his patience with you and understanding of you. And, you know, you're melding together. You're melding what works for both of you together.
Yeah. So it's been lovely.
We love Thomas.
That's my story.
Love it.
Tell your yoga Darius story.
Okay. So Darius. So I met Darius. He was my yoga student virtually when I was teaching online. My company that I was working for was like, if you're a director and above, and you teach fitness, like we're going to get you on the app. It was during COVID. We started on demand. So I started teaching, and this guy would take all my classes and he'd story them like on Instagram, like a time lapse. And I was like, God, this guy is so
he's always
weird.
Been in the social media game.
Not even really though. Like this is what he would do. And everybody knew him as the Such. Like everybody's like, oh, the Such is taking class. Like the Such is taking class. And every single class, he'd like slide into my DMs and he'd be like, that was such a unique flow. That class was amazing. I love the intention, like random ass shit. And I was like, this guy is so weird.
He's a fucking weirdo.
Like not even like, I honestly like, and you know when you're teaching virtual yoga, like I didn't even know what he looked like because I didn't even care to look. I was like, this weirdo guy is like whatever. And when you looked at his Instagram, like I did try to stalk a little. It was like old photos and I was like, I don't really know. He has like a mustache, like, and mustaches weren't cool then. Like, I don't know.
They're never cool.
They're cool
never
now.
Been cool.
They're cool now. Yes, because of Travis Kelce. When I was in Nantucket, all the guys had mustaches. It was
I'm not
strange.
Into that.
Me either. Sorry, Darius.
There was the only person that's ever done it for me with a mustache was this resident that I used to work with at the hospital that he was like the scrawniest, like so not my type person ever. And I loved him in that mustache. That's it for me.
I was like, this guy has a mustache. He's got a shaved head, like this, whatever. Anyway, he slid into my DMs and he's like, hey, like, do you want to grab coffee? And I kept like blowing him off because I was like, oh, like this guy just wants to like talk about
weirdo fucking
yoga. Like I don't want to talk to him. So my best friend Amanda was staying with me and she was like kind of bouncing around now. She's in LA. She was staying with me and she's like, okay, let's just like go to brunch and then you can like get a drink with him after. And I was like, oh, like, whatever, fine. So I was like, hey, like, can we get a drink after? I was like, I'm going to brunch. Not a boozy brunch. We were going to Tempo. Like, not a boozy brunch. And so I was like, let's just grab a drink. And I was like, do you mind if I bring my dog? Because my excuse was, if I have my dog, like, gotta go.
We have to leave, yeah.
So I meet him and I'm like, oh, he's like way cuter than I thought he was. And we're like sitting and we're talking and we're chatting and blah, blah, blah. And then I don't know, maybe like an hour goes by and I'm like, so like, are you looking to do like yoga teacher training? Are you looking to like do a retreat? Like, what's going on? And he's like, what? And I was like, isn't that why we're here? Like, you're interested in yoga. And he's like, this is a date. And I was like, oh. Let me start again. Yeah. I was like, hi. So we ended up spending like 8 hours together. And I would love to say, and the rest is history, but it's not. We probably spent a year of like on off. Like I remember going out with like management at where we work and we were out and I see him on a date and I'm like, oh, this is like so fucked. I'm like, that's the guy, like blah, whatever. Like everybody knows my chronicles of this. But it was like on and off for a while. I think both of us were just like, and we'll get into it, like dating apps, like, is this it? Is there better out there? We like each other. Do we want to commit? We both got out of relationships, like all of these things until finally, like we call it our I love you bench. It's like right in Lincoln Park. And he was like, I love you. And I was like, I love you too. And then through hard work and discussion and whatever, we started dating a year ago, January, I think. Maybe 2 years. I don't even know. We moved in together. Yeah. It'll be 2 years this January that we moved in together. We had one dog, then we got a second dog, and
got a whole little
we're just waiting,
going. Oh,
you know?
Yeah. Oh,
if you're watching this.
Oh, we know.
Yeah, I mean, I would, it definitely came with a lot of understanding of one another, a lot of like, a lot of friends who would know the story and was like, are you sure? Are you sure? But like there was something about our connection that was like, I've never felt that with anybody else. And I've had exes, which we can go into and all of that. But there was something different. I think there's that similar to Thomas, like just, and I say this to you because like when Thomas will text me, I'm like, this is so Darius. Just this like wholesomeness of a man just being like genuinely like, oh, I want to get to know you. Or like, oh, like I really had a nice time. Like Thomas thanked me for hanging out with him, which is like so sweet. And Darius would do the same thing. Yeah. Like, thank you so much. It was a lovely night. Like whatever the heck it was. But I think that what I've noticed lately is through the pandemic, through moving in together, we had a lot of time just being together. From working from home, we were both working from home. We would eat at home, hang out at home. Like it just became like home became work, became play, became life. And just in this past, I would say like 6 months probably, we've both gotten out of the house. And it has helped our relationship tremendously. Like not being on top of each other, having our own lives. Like this came about. Obviously, I teach. He now has he's reached out to just like a different group of guy friends and done his own thing. And like I think that's what allows you to be stronger is your individual, like to your point, like getting to know yourself individually to then show up in your partnership in a really strong way. That understanding, that building, that like communication, like all of that. And then I'll go there, but we also started couples therapy in January. And I think that has been like the best thing, like no embarrassment. We actually graduated, which like pat on my back. She was like, I don't really think there's more. And I was like, but I really like this time. And she was like, okay, we can do like once a month. Yeah. But I loved the hour of just coming in, having like a third party, not like mediate us, but just like allow us to be in this safe space to talk about whatever we wanted. Yeah. And I think I was against it because I was afraid of it.
What prompted you to go to couples therapy? Was it like a preventative thing or was it like?
I wanted to get engaged last year.
We know.
But I was like December 31st.
The very first night that I hung out with you at the Christmas party last year, like 3 minutes into me being there.
Did I get down on one knee and propose to him?
No, but he was there and she was like, this is my boyfriend Darius. I'm waiting for him to propose or like something. And I was like, wow, these people are fucking not well.
Yeah, I was not shy about it. No. And when it didn't happen in December, I was like, my life was uprooted. Yeah. And that comes from a lot of like comparison, me being 34, thinking that I should have been there, thinking, all of this stuff. But it also comes from communication. And my personal therapist was like, why don't you see if he'll go to couples therapy? Doesn't have to. He can say no. And he was like, yeah, sure. And it just opened up more vulnerability of things that I think sometimes you're so afraid to bring up to your partner because you don't know how. You don't want to offend them. You don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to make it seem like it's anything that they're doing. I think he was afraid to tell me he wasn't ready. And that's okay. Mm-hmm. But I was similar to you, like where I'm like the go, go, go. And he's like a little bit more like low key. I was like, we're going to get engaged. And he was like, I'm not ready, but not telling me that.
Sure.
And so that miscommunication, I think, brought us obviously more understanding, openness. Obviously, it wasn't easy, but it got us to where we are today, which I think is honestly like our strongest relationship we've ever been in. It's been, I always say like, because everybody is like, why aren't you engaged yet? Why aren't you engaged?
Which is also fucking inappropriate. Can we just say public service announcement? Stop asking people when they're getting engaged. Stop asking people when they're having kids. Stop asking people when they're moving into, just fucking mind your business. If someone doesn't offer that information up to you, don't fucking ask about it.
It's a lot. It's a lot when you're like,
don't fucking ask about it.
What's he waiting for? What's he doing?
Because then that makes you feel like shit. And you're like, I don't know.
Well, I've been very open and honest that like we have had a hard year, a really tough, like we've had to go deep. We've had to get understanding. We've had to adjust the way that we are together for the benefit of us. If we didn't want to be together, we wouldn't have done it. And I don't think had we not gone to couples therapy, I don't know if we'd be as strong as we are today.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, let's fucking go. And I'm hoping I think it will happen soon. But I'm not putting as much pressure on it because I know that we have the same values, we have the same goals, we have the same ambitions, like as far as a family and all of that. That And so I'm like, I'm really just trusting that like we had to have this year to come out of it where we are today.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not easy. We had to do a lot of hard work, a lot of in-depth work on ourselves as well. But yeah.
But I think there's something like to be said too about even like making that realization. Like I feel, and this is kind of exactly where I was in my last relationship. It was just like we met when we were 21 and then all of a sudden I was 28 and it was like talking about engagement and like I already had the house with the picket fence and like kids and blah, blah, blah. And I like what really shook me out of I was like numb, honestly, is what it was. Like I had all these feelings and no feelings all at the same time. But like I was like, I don't even want this life right now. Like I don't, but you feel like I remember years and years ago being like, I'm going to be the young cute mom. Like I want to be the young cute mom.
Yeah.
Because that's like what's bred in society. And like I've talked about this before, but like my mom is very Italian and like every single one of her, she has 7 siblings and all of them have 1 million kids. And like it's kind of like, when are you going to do this? And like she wants a grandchild and no hate, no anything to my mom. But like, it's all this like constant pressure from other people. And then it's like, you stop and you ask yourself, like, I will admittedly sit here now and be like, I don't even know that I ever want kids. Like, I don't know if that's for me, which is a whole other conversation. But like you say that in front of other women, especially older women, and they like shudder. They're like,
I think there's something like, I've always said, if I'm blessed to have a child, I'm very excited about it. Mm-hmm. But I also love, and this stems from like an ex of mine, his family adopted a girl and also had 2 foster kids that then they ended up adopting. Mm-hmm. And I just love this dynamic of a family. And don't get me wrong, it was hard, it wasn't easy. And I don't think that you just like adopt a child and are like, this is like so easy.
Yeah.
It's not. But I think that for women, they're like, oh my God, it's so much, it's such a process, it's so beautiful. And so many of them do want to have a baby. So they get like personally offended. I don't personally think that it's like an offense if someone doesn't want to have a child. I think that's every person's decision. I think everybody chooses how to have a family. Some people's family is their friends. Some people's family is their family. Some people's family is children. Whatever it is. Like
whatever it is.
They choose it differently. But I think that there's no judgment, no hate to whatever anybody wants. And I think that about myself. Like sometimes I'm like, I don't want a traditional family. Like why? So, this is my personal, like, you know me,
here she
opinions.
Goes again.
But sometimes I'm like, why should I bring a child into this world when like there's a child that needs a home already? Yeah. And I get this like sense of like guilt or something within me. But I'm like, can I have some sort of beautiful mix of both?
Both, yeah.
And I don't think my eyes were opened really until that relationship. But I do think as you get older, all of these things get like so real in your head of like, is it the right decision? Is it the wrong decision? Like, what is it? It just becomes like so much more real than when like you're in your 20s and are just like, cool, maybe we get married.
Yeah.
Great, you know, or like maybe like I'm dating this guy or whatever.
And I mean, I get like that about marriage stuff too. Like, I'm just like, why do I need to sign this fucking legal document that said, you know, like, I don't know. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever. Yeah, I have thoughts. Like, I'm not saying I'm a totally opposed, but I'm just kind of, it's just crazy because like 10 years ago or however many years ago, like I was never the girly with the Pinterest wedding board or anything. Yeah. But like, it was just like, that's what you grew up knowing and that's what you were supposed to have. And now I'm like, I don't know if I want to do any of that fucking shit.
I think because life also, like the world has also evolved that like it doesn't look the same as how it did years ago.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's get into like the fun stuff. That was like the serious stuff.
It was cutesy for a second.
It was. I feel like we like kind of touched on our exes, but I kind of want to skip over our exes for the sake of this episode and get to like the juicy like dating shit.
Let me tell you something. If I had never had to date again in my fucking life, it would be too soon. I fucking no thanks. I started dating before I came to Chicago, like just at home in Rochester. And were
you apping like on the apps?
I was apping. Well, yes, because what the fuck else do you do? Well, here I am. I met somebody through somebody, but that's like, it's so rare nowadays to like.
I think it's dating apps have genuinely like, yes, maybe you meet like people who you maybe wouldn't have met elsewhere, like maybe someone from a different path of life, whatever. But I feel like it's ruined when you go out, you like can't even talk to people publicly.
No, and men don't approach women anymore, even like.
And if they do, you're like, why is he coming up to me?
Yeah, like it's not a thing. And the whole culture, it just sucks. It sucks. There's nothing good about it. I was dating for fun in Rochester, and then I had like 7 boyfriends and we all went to the same gym because there's like one really nice gym in Rochester, and then I would be at the gym. My friends used to laugh at me so hard because they'd be like, they're all here at the same time. And I'm like, I know, I don't know what to do. Like,
when I was dating that one and that one.
Or I'd be sitting at like the table like with my smoothie and one would approach like one at a time, and I was like, what am I doing?
Taylor's hot shit.
But like, no, not even. It was just like, I knew that I was leaving.
No, I know.
So I was like, well,
Fuck
might
it,
as well
who
just have
cares?
some fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that's kind of where I wasn't looking to do anything serious when I was still home because I was like, get me out of here anyways. And then like maybe for a second before I decided that I was leaving and I met like a Hinge person who I was living in Rochester at the time, but I'm from Syracuse and he was in Syracuse. And he was a cop, and I'm just going to say, stay away from the cops because he was so fucking crazy. Yeah, like so fucking crazy. Like I've never been gaslit in my entire life like the way that this kid gaslit me, and like would talk to me all day, every day, around the clock, like craziness. And then like I would be like, so I'm going to be home. Like, do you want to hang? And like there was always something. And I was like, this is just fucking weird.
Yeah,
like,
I don't want to be your pen pal.
I don't want to be your pen pal. And like I had FaceTimed him, so I had knew that he was a real person, in fact. But I just was like, what? And then like he was supposed to come visit me in Rochester and then like never said anything. And then I was kind of like, okay, I guess we're not.
No.
And he like gaslit me, and he was like, well, you knew I wasn't doing anything this weekend. Like, why wouldn't you? And I was like,
fuck
what
that.
alternate reality am I living in?
No.
So then after that first like Hinge experience that I had, I was like, I'm just dating for fun. Yeah. And then I came to Chicago and I was like so excited because it's like
new crop.
Okay, but also let's just talk about the small town upstate girlies don't know it. But like in Rochester, like there was only so many people to go through. Like you would eventually hit a screen that was like, there's no more people here for the day.
See, in Chicago, I feel like I'm like, oh, knew him from high school. Oh, that person dated this person. Especially when you're looking at like Jewish men, you're like, that person knows that person too close to home. That one was married to this one. No, like you start to know everybody.
See, at home, like I would constantly, it would be like, there's literally no one else left.
Like, shit, I'm done.
And this didn't just happen to me. Like some of my best friends were like out of people for the day until some people move or
like
join.
My 7 boyfriends, they're all I got.
Like, so then when I came here, obviously like I'm not from here. So it opened up this whole world. It was endless. Yeah. I was like, when I came here and started dating, I was like, I'm just looking for a boat daddy. Like,
yes.
I don't really give a
summertime?
fuck. Yes, it was summertime. So,
I had one of those.
A boat daddy?
Like a guy who would just be like, come on my boat. Like, come on the boat. And I'm like, is he going to ask me for something? Like, while I'm on the boat?
I get there.
Because like, I want to go on the boat, but
I don't feel like performing at this moment.
Don't want to do anything.
Yeah. No, I don't even, it was like, I don't know. So then I came here and like all summer long, the first summer that I was here in the beginning, I was like, I'm going to like, fuck around. And then I started seeing this kid and I saw him all summer. And at the halfway point, this is why I fucking hate men in dating. I don't hate all men. That's an aggressive thing to say. But we started, I like 2 months in, I just was kind of like, so like, what are we doing here? Because like, if you're just fucking around, that's fine. But like, you got to let me know because we're talking every day and I'm seeing you every week. And like, eventually I'm going to start to drop the guard a little.
Yeah.
And he was like, reassured me like, no. I just like, it's only been such and such amount of time. Like, I just want to, and I was like, okay. Cause like, without saying it, I was like, I'm giving you the out if you're interested. And to be completely honest with you, now that I look back at it, I was like, I didn't even really fucking like him.
No.
I just didn't want to get my feelings hurt.
Yeah.
Like,
we always like to be the one to end things. We don't like somebody to end it on us.
And it was the first time that I was like seeing somebody in a feelings way, not just a fun way. So I was like, I really don't want to get my feelings hurt. And then like a month later, he was like being all fucking weird. And I just was like, what's the deal? That's what I did is I went on a date with this guy that I didn't even want to go on a date with. But I was just like, I'm going to show him. He hadn't texted me in like 13 hours.
You loser, I'm going on another date.
I could have been at the bottom of a river and he would have been like, I knew that girl, like
dated her.
And I went on another date and then like I texted him and I was just like, can we chat? And he was like, yeah, what's up? Like leaving me on read for 13 hours.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I feel like something's weird. And like, I would rather you just be like, something's fucking weird than like, I'm also such a communicator. I'm an over communicator. Like, I have to tell you everything about every feeling that I'm having.
I think that men and women, this is the same thing with like ghosting and like slow ghosting and not responding. It's like, how much better? And the only reason I learned this, to be honest, is because my dad was taking me to the airport when I lived in New York. And I was like, I don't really like this guy. And I was like, but I don't want to tell him that. And my dad's like, just tell him, thank you so much. I've had a really nice time. I just don't see a connection. Like straight up. And I was like, oh, that's not bad. Like, okay, I can send that. And that to me is like, why do we think that not just being straightforward with someone and saying like, thank you, this was great, but I just didn't feel anything.
Just not for me.
It is an ego hurt to me when someone says that to me. 100%. That is an ego. Like, I'm like, is there anything I did? Like, if I like the person. But it's the same thing to them. But also, how much like ruder is it when you just are like, not going to respond?
Yeah. Like,
unless they don't get the hint, then just fucking don't respond.
Then whatever, but yeah.
But like, it is like a just.
Especially if I'm like giving you like a, hello, here's your opportunity to be like, no, thank you. Like, or just be like, I'm just fucking around. And I would have been like, great. Then like, let me pull back the feelings that I'm having. Because, and then, yeah, I asked him if something was weird. And then he sent me this long text message about how I'm basically the greatest person that ever lived. And like, there's no one, like prettier or smarter or more entertaining or like
me, but yeah,
all of the traits, but something's missing. And when I tell you, I took that something's missing and I turned it into a fucking 72-hour downward spiral.
Yeah.
I was like, I remember like at the time, like I was living with like my two best friends that I came here with. We were like subletting a place together. And I remember one of my very good friends was like, should we go get she's like, I don't know what to do with you right now. Yeah. She's like, I've never seen you like this.
I think rejection is really hard. It's because especially when there's no way to articulate, like, I just don't feel it. And I've been there. Like, I've been there with someone where I'm like, you're so great. You're so nice.
But it's just
I don't feel it. And I've tried to force it for so long and it's turned me into a really bad person. But we need to end this, like whatever.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to say that to someone. And to take rejection is like, there's something wrong with me, and there's nothing wrong with you. Clearly.
But that's what I was like, there is a lot wrong with me. No, but I was just like, all I could hear is that like I was the something's missing girl. And like I couldn't, and then like I had a therapy session where I was like hysterical about it, and my therapist was like, the emotions are not matching the actual situation. Like this isn't even about him. Like you are just like in your own.
Totally.
And then after that 72 hours, decided that I was never going to let a man make me feel like that about myself ever again.
Amen.
And like, I don't know if it just takes that one to like, and it's not that I had never been treated. I mean, I was in a toxic relationship for like 2 years of my life, which I can't even believe I didn't bring up when we talked about the eating disorder thing, because that was like a huge part of like that whole situation. But like, I've let someone treat me like an absolute piece of garbage before.
100%.
Not even batting an eyelash.
I've also like in relationships turned into a different person because of that person.
Oh, the cool girl? Do you know her?
I've also been like the like I've had so much anger inside of me from this relationship that like I would get drunk and aggressive and like we'd fight when we were drunk and like all
that
of
was
these
my
things,
toxic
like,
relationship.
What the fuck?
The whole narrative
is this?
of my toxic relationship was us getting hammered and fucking screaming at each other. It was like the whole
and that to me is
center
like
of our
that's
relationship.
like pain and the work you've got to do on yourself, but also not being with the right person as well, and all of that together boils into like I've literally looked back on some of my relationships and been like, wow, I don't really like the girl that they were dating.
Because you're like, where was the fucking self-respect I should have had for myself?
Yes.
Is what it stems down to.
And where's like also this, I don't know, I guess also growing up too. That's also why I think like when you're in your 30s, perfect time to find someone that like you would
and
like
again,
a
like
future
this,
with.
I'm definitely more like emotionally mature than I was, and like I do work now to like be a better partner back.
Yes.
So like I've also been in like every relationship that I've been in has started off or continued to be with somebody worshiping the ground that I walked on and me just like existing. I was never actively making an effort to like give that back because
honestly, same.
Which is like a really shitty thing, but like I didn't ever give a fuck, honestly. And it's not that I didn't care about them, and it's not that I didn't love those people and whatever, but it's just like I, in the emotional state that I was in, didn't care to be a better person or be a better partner.
I think it also feels really good to have someone like stroke your ego and then being able to like stroke their ego. I don't know. It's like until you learn to like do that in a really healthy emotional way, you become like, it's hard to do that unless you're naturally that person. I don't know how to describe it because I've always been like, oh my God, this is so great. They like me more. And it is really nice when a guy likes you like just a little bit more.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Just that amount more.
No, they have to or else it doesn't
But there is a really beautiful thing that comes from when you find the ability to like be able to give that love back in a way that like you can also make them feel like their best self.
Yeah, but you have to be, there is like a certain level of emotional maturity you have to hit
that
in
growth
order
within
to
yourself.
Yes, in order to be able and want to reciprocate.
Yes.
But yeah, no, after that downfall, I was just like, I will never. I took a break for a minute and then I started going on some other dates. I went on a date. This is tea. I went on a date with this lawyer who lives here. And
if you're listening,
I literally don't give a fuck. And we went out for coffee and it was fine, except for kind of the whole time he talked about how dating in Chicago was misery. And I just was kind of like, why is this the focus of our conversation?
Also, is this miserable? Because I'm miserable.
Yeah, because whatever. But it was fine. So then I'm also a person where I have to have banter. There has to be banter and a little bit of shit talk or else it's never going to work for me. And if you can't keep up with that or take it, like you're just not the one. It's just never going to work.
Yeah.
90% of what comes out of my mouth is shit talk. Like it's just it's never going to work. So we had this like level of banter and whatever. So then he wanted to go on a second date and he knew I was like a fitness girly. So he was like, you should come with me to Lifetime.
Oh, okay.
Because he lived at that building in which Lifetime is located in. We'll get a lift in, you know, have a day, have a lunch, whatever. So I said, okay, fine. So I go. Immediately when I get to Lifetime, it occurs to me that he let just about everybody that he knows know that he was bringing a girl to this gym because the people that were fucking staring at me while I was there was like not even cool. Also, I was already like self-conscious because I was like, I'm walking into the land of like tripods and like girly pops like that are doing their thing. So I was like, great. So then I'm like, okay, I can tell that like people have been alerted that like I am here. So we had this date, whatever. It was going to be his birthday the next day. So me and my friends were going out to dinner anyways.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is the red flag, okay? If you live in Chicago, this was the red flag. He was like, me and my friends only hang out at 3 places. Lyra, the Hoxton, and Texan.
Yes. Yes.
And I was like,
boys, let's go.
Okay. So he's like, those are the only 3 places we go. We don't deviate. Like we only go to these 3 places. And I was like, okay. So we went out and then he was with his friends at Texan. And he was like, you should come meet us, blah, blah, blah. I was like, also like, it's 8 p.m. Like, why are you at Texan right now?
They're getting a good spot for the ladies.
For the ladies. So me and my friends went to meet him and his friends. And like, it was fine. He was nice. All of his friends were like, you're the hot girl from the gym. And I was like, this is the most awkward thing ever. Like, it was so fucking weird.
Offline, I have to know who these people
are
because I guarantee you I know them.
Sure you do. So then I'm like, he's talking with my friends. My one friend is like super shy, but she like is the first one to be like interested in that. And we're like, go over there and talk to him. And she's like, never in your life. Like, so he was like trying to help her, like, you know, come up with something, whatever. So the next thing I know, I'm like turned to talk to my 2 girlfriends and then I turn back to him and he's like actively buying another girl another drink. And I was like,
classic.
Okay. So I like literally just did a little tap on the old shoulder and I was like, hey, happy birthday. But I'm not the girl you're going to make a fool of, so please never contact me again. And I left, okay? And I never heard from him again. He didn't text me, nothing. He immediately went on Hinge and like deleted our Hinge conversation.
Asshole.
And I was like, that's serious.
Yeah.
A couple weeks later, I was at Lyra for a birthday dinner and he happened to be there. Naturally, because they don't go anywhere else.
Yes.
At the bar. And we stayed to hang around at the bar. And I went up to the bar. And he came up to me to hit on me as if we'd never met before.
Oh my God.
And I literally looked him in the face and I was like, you're joking, right? And he was like, about what? And I was like, get away from me.
Oh my God, what a psycho.
So I think he was just like a serial dater and like everything that I got from what he was saying about like, it was always like, this girl had this problem, this girl had that problem, his ex had this, blah, blah, blah. And mind you, we had gone on 2 dates and I'd gathered all this information about somebody already.
Yeah.
So it was like, I was like, this is the strangest.
My Chicago dating was much more of like I made everybody come to me and I had 2 spots that I went to, Rocks when it was open and Clark Street Ale House, which is still my home away from home. And I would bring everybody there because I knew if I didn't like the date, I could then talk to the bartender. Like I was like, This is great. This is like awesome. And we went on a lot of dates to find like our princess, whatever. Yeah. My worst date was in New York. And
finance bro?
No.
Oh.
Actually, I have no fucking idea what he did. He was French, like from France, had an accent, Jewish. And he calls me and he's like, can I pick you up on my Vespa?
Okay, no. Well,
wait. So I called my mom. Like, Mom. Mind you, I'm like 26 years old. I'm like, Mom, this guy wants to pick me up on his Vespa. Like, is that cool? And my mom's like, oh my God, how fun. Like, so cute.
Well, so immediately I'm like, don't pick me up in your car because if I have to get out and escape, but if I'm on a Vespa, I can jump off.
Right.
Okay, got
Same thing. So I have no idea where he's taking me. Nothing. He takes me to a cigar bar. I'm like, okay, could be chic, but like also like now my clothes are gonna fucking smell. Like this sucks, but like whatever. It was a bougie cigar bar, and I don't smoke cigars, so that also
I
was
don't
like
either.
know your.
I wish I was that girl that looked like that with like a martini in her hand and like a cigar. I'm not.
At 26, who the fuck looks like that, and who wants to smoke a cigar? Like not me. So he's like very aggressive. And
I hear the foreign men are.
Very. Yeah. And he's fighting with me about the CEO of the company that I work for. Like fighting with me. He's like, it is this. And I'm like, no, it's that. Like literally fighting with me. And I'm like, you're wrong. Like I work there. And he's like, no, I'm right. Like so aggressive. And I'm like, I will bet you these drinks and the food that he ordered for himself but didn't order for me. He just ordered for himself to eat. I will bet you all of this that this is the CEO. And he's like, fine. So he looks it up and I'm right. So then I go to the bathroom and I call my best guy friend and I'm like, dude, what are you doing tonight? Like, I need to get the fuck out of here. And like, this is not a date for me. So then I go back and I end up being like, thank you. And he's like, he gets like literally so close to my face. And he's like, I know you want to kiss me right now. And I was like, I
absolutely don't.
Do not want to kiss you.
I want to shove an ice pick through your eyeball into your brain.
Like, no, I know you do. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm like, I really don't. And so I'm like, thank you so much. I'm like, but I think like we should go our separate ways. Mm-hmm. And he's like, no. Like, let me take you home. And I'm like, no, I'm going to get a cab. Like, I literally were walking out. Like, he paid. We're walking out. And he's like, you know, if you were really a nice Jewish girl, you would have offered to pay half the bill.
No,
and I was like,
no.
We fought about this and I won the bet. I was like, so no. So I'm like, never going to see this guy again. I go to meet my friends, like tell them about the date. It was horrible. He then proceeds the day after or 2 days after, whatever it was, a Friday, to be like, do you want to come to Shabbat dinner? I need a date. And I was like, no. I was like, where did you get off that like I want to see you again? It was also so bizarre.
I am all with the modern times, okay? And I will pick up dinner like 10% of the time.
Listen,
if you asked me out on a fucking date, you're paying for dinner and drinks, buddy.
Also, we bet on it. Like, we placed a bet.
Even if you had lost that bet.
And usually on a date, though, I am that girl that's like, do you want me to pay?
No, I'm not. I'm like, get your credit card out.
See, I'm usually like oh, do you want to split the bill?
You're like pretending. You're like, I'm not actually going to pay, but I'm going to pretend like I'm going to pay.
If they ask, I'm mad about it. I'm like, why did they just ask me to split the bill? Like, I don't like that at all.
Yeah.
Sorry, men. I think there is something, I love that women and men, they should be equal. They should be paid equal. And I believe that. But I think there's something really nice, especially on a first date, which sucks for men because this is my philosophy.
No,
they
I'm with you.
should pay for the first date. It could be the coffee
first 50
even.
dates.
I mean, yeah. But I think the first date is like really
Yeah, no, I
important.
think so too. I don't know.
There's something about like that dotingness.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Wow. We talked about some worst first date stories. We talked about the apps.
I mean, here's the thing about the apps. And like, I don't know, I can only speak to this in like Chicago because I haven't dated in other big cities really. But like the vibe on like Hinge or Bumble or whatever the fuck it is like, and I feel I mean, I guess it swings both ways. I'm sure women are like this too. But it's just like the thing with the dating apps is like everybody's just like you go out on a date with somebody and they do one thing or they say one thing that like might just be like not your vibe or like not for you or you're just like, I don't know about that or whatever. And immediately like you're just like, I'll just go home and get a new one.
Right.
Instead of like
something else out there. Like you're like, oh, well, this is bad. So I'm going to pick that. And I'm going to go to the next person.
Yeah.
My friend Joanna told me that the Jewish matchmaker said, date them till you hate them. So like continue to go on dates.
Yes.
Until you're like,
absolutely not.
Absolutely.
You're certain.
Done.
Yeah. But people don't do that. They don't like try and like adjust like their perspective or like how they believe, whatever it is. Like nobody wants to like have to adjust for that thing or like explore that thing. So they're just like, fuck it, get a new one.
I think the problem too is you're looking at like the best of them. Like no one's just going to put up like a picture of themselves, like no makeup, like looking like shit. So they put up the best of themselves. They put up their best traits. And then when you meet them, you're like, wait, like they dress so much nicer. They looked a certain way or whatever it is. So you're really looking at like just the visual and verbal of someone instead of like a in-person meet.
And I'll tell you, there was a lot of times where I was like, absolutely fucking not, based off of some prompt shit that they answered that I'm like, is this funny or do I hate you? Like, I can't tell.
You're trying too hard because it's for the apps.
Yeah, or is this just like who you are? Like, I don't fucking know.
But also like in person, would you laugh? I don't know. Like, I don't know.
I guess I don't know.
There's like,
here's this thing. I also tried this thing when I was dating, okay? And I was like, I'm not going to lie and say I'm not a shallow person and I would like you to be attractive because I would. Okay. But for a minute there, I was like, maybe you're doing it wrong. And maybe if they have a nice personality, you can overlook.
Yeah, I've tried that.
They have 8 eyeballs and 17 toes. Yeah, for sure. Everybody has a type, right? And I was like, I tried to force myself to like these men based off the fact that I was like, could you like their personality? So it's like both ends of the spectrum. It's like you're forcing yourself to try and like something that you don't actually like, and then you're dismissing something that you might actually like just because of an inconvenience of an opinion or something. Like it just is so. And then it's like the back and the forth on the app chat.
Yes.
And I'm just like.
And I don't want to chat with you on the app for 10 days. Like, let's
set up a date.
People
have very opposing opinions on that.
I know.
Some people are like, ask me out right away. I don't want to talk to you for 10 days. And then some people are like, don't ask me out right away. That's fucking weird. Let's talk for a little bit.
I'm in the middle. I think like 1 to 2 days of just like little chat and then ask me out. Maybe you ask me up for like a phone call because we can't talk, like we can't meet in that whatever, but like I don't need a pen pal. And I also like you're going to text and if you take 5 minutes longer than I wanted you to, then I'm annoyed.
Right.
Just ask me out. Let's make a plan. Let's go.
How many times have you done the thing where you're like, they took 3 hours to respond, so I'm going to take 3 hours and 15 minutes.
100%. That's a like the texting games is something that I hate. But wait, about dating apps before I go into like the texting game is this girl on Instagram and TikTok. I really love her. I think she's just got like a great Julia something or another. But her sister took over her Hinge profile and was like put in the thing like, I'm Julia's sister, like I'm taking over her Hinge profile. I'm gonna set her up on dates. Like, tell me why you should date my sister.
Yeah.
So she's vetting the guys for her. And I'm kind of like, that's actually a really great idea because you're seeing what other people think you should be with. And maybe you would have automatically been like, no, but they're asking questions that are different than you would. I don't know. I think it's like a cool experiment. But with that said, going back to the texting games is I think that we all play this game. And I think a lot of times, like, and I said this to my friends who are dating, like, they're like, he hasn't responded in like 5 hours. I'm like, he has a really serious job. Like, maybe he just can't get back to your text 4 or 5 hours until the end of the day.
Okay, but here's the thing about that, too.
Yes, they're on their phone. Yes, I'm not going to deny they're on their phone and they're texting people. However, we ask for a lot of attention. I think there has to be a little bit of this like release of like constant communication when you're just meeting
yes.
someone.
I think that if you're texting someone, and I feel very differently about this now than I did in the past, but I think if someone's texting you around the clock, it's a fucking red flag.
Yes.
It's a fucking red flag because it feels like love bombing and it's not a thing. But I also will say that I do stand firmly on the point that if they wanted to, they would. So like if you
I think that there is still there has to be
but think about your busiest day. Think about like your busiest day. Like if you really wanted to check in with Darius, you would do so.
I mean, yeah, I'd be like, "Hey, how are you?" But we're dating.
But even in the beginning, though,
I think though that I do think there is this thing. Like what I do now is I'm like, okay, I need to respond to this person. I'm leaving them like leaving the dot on so that like I can make sure to respond to them. But I do think there's some leeway that has to be there because people do have really busy days.
Well,
and when you're first starting to date someone, there is that like overthinking, like I got to figure out how to answer this. Like takes a little bit more time than just like bullshitting with your boyfriend.
A couple hour window is entirely fine.
Not 5 days.
But I'm talking about, like a whole day goes by and they're like, hey, had a really busy day yesterday. Like, what did you do when you went home?
You got home, maybe you went for a drink. You're like, and this is my thing too. Like, why can't you text me just like,
busy.
Going for a drink.
Yeah. Like that's
going
my
for a
point.
drink, we'll text you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Or like, I can't respond right now, but we'll respond later. That's like part of that communication thing that I think in the beginning of dating, we take too seriously. Other people take too seriously, where it's like, if you just were straight up like, dude, I've got a really busy week. I'm going to text you when I can, but just like, no, my responses will be delayed.
Fair. That's fair. And again, like I don't expect like around the clock communication I think is fucking weird, especially if you don't know somebody. Like I don't even text my own boyfriend around the clock, you know, as it is. 100%. But I do think that like if you're like if you're putting it all in and you're like rearranged, because we've all done it. Yeah. We've all rearranged our fucking schedule, or we've not done things on certain nights because you know they have that night off, and perhaps you talked about maybe like last week getting together that night, so like I have to leave it open.
The up in the air plans, make a fucking plan.
Make a
plan and stick to it. Like, I want to go out with you on Wednesday. We're going out on Wednesday, and I'm going to make the plan. Like, because I do, to your point, we do rearrange our schedules.
Yes.
And we do think about like, oh, he said maybe Wednesday. I'm taking maybe Wednesday as like probably Wednesday.
Yeah. So us as women, like, but we automatically do that. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, we automatically are like, if we really want to see somebody, we shuffle all these things, or like don't make plans, or like whatever. Yes. And like, so that's kind of my point where like, when the day comes and they're like, not going to happen today. You're like, but if you really wanted to.
Yes, then I agree.
Because again, like I've been in a situation where like I've really wanted to spend time with someone and I've made it happen. Yeah. You know? So there is, I mean, I agree. Saying, but there's a fine line between like you being busy and then you.
That comes also with intention. Are you dating with intent of like finding something, or are you dating with intent to like fuck around?
What do you think about people like automatically like that being their opening statement on the profile? Like not looking for something serious.
I think you're putting out there that like you are looking for something serious. I think that's like your intentions are out there. I think sometimes we can come across a little too aggressive, because I think sometimes people may want to fuck around, but then they meet someone and they're like, I actually don't want to fuck around anymore. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I think that there's a difference between like, I do not want to date at all and I'm not sure. You know, like I'm looking for a fuck buddy. I'm looking for a situationship. I'm looking for whatever. But I think sometimes there's this like, I only want to date to find my husband or find my wife, and like that's it. And I think that's a pressure you're putting on yourself that you then become like really nitpicky. Yeah. And you become like, well, they're not what I don't know. I think there's a good and a bad to being up front and forward, but then also like there's got to be flexibility. Because maybe your situationship turns into something, and maybe you didn't know you needed a situationship. Like, what do they say? Like, it's cuffing season or whatever. Maybe you need someone to like cuff with. I don't know. I just think we sometimes put all these parameters around that we become so rigid with, and then it's like there's got to be flexibility so that like it works.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a balance, but I think recognizing like flexibility versus somebody just straight up like not making an effort is like a totally different
100%.
thing.
And I think also if you're true with like, you know, I think a lot of women and men that I know that are in their 30s now are with that very, very much mindset of like, I'm dating because I want to find my partner. Yeah. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but I don't think leading with like, are you looking for something serious?
Yeah. And
so because then you're kind of like I think I am, but like this.
They're like, I don't even know your last name yet, Mary.
Yeah, like let's just learn, like get to know each other, and then figure out like, do I want long term with you? And I know it's easier said than done as well, because I'm in a relationship right now. So I think a lot of people be like, you don't fucking know. Yeah. And you're right, I don't know, but I do think there is a little bit of just like the releasing a little bit of that pressure of like, let's get to know each other, and also that same mentality of like, date them till you hate them, because like they may surprise you on date 2 or 3.
I also think that like I got to a point with dating where I was like I don't compete anymore. Like it's, if we're gonna do the thing, like it's me or it's nothing. Like I'm not waiting for you to like dance around.
That
and
comes
like
also though with age, because I think at that point too, you're also like, I'm gonna dance around a little.
Like, yeah. Well, I've done it, but I've made my intentions very clear. Like when I've been doing that, you know what I mean? Like I've gotten to a point where I'm just like, I'm not competing with somebody else. So like, if that's what you're looking to do, then you go do that. But like, not interested otherwise.
Agreed.
Yeah,
agreed.
It's too much. No more. I could never do it. I don't know. if I ended up single again, like I don't know that she
I'd
could
apply
revisit
for the Bachelorette.
that she could revisit an app. Oh my God, the trenches. I've never experienced anything like it in my life.
Apps, my thought process is like apps may start to dwindle as people yearn for that connection in real life. Because I do think people do. And I've seen more and more on like TikTok as I'm scrolling of like, come to this like dating meetup. And I'm kind of like, I love that.
All kinds of events. I just saw one the other day that was like, you sign up for it, you put in a bunch of stuff about, I'm sitting here being like, this would be so cool. And then I'm like, I would never fucking go to this. No, but you put in like all this info about you, right? Like the basic questions or whatever. And like they match you with somebody, but you go to this event. It's like a cocktail hour or a dinner or like whatever it may be. And the first hour is you just like mingling with all the people. And then at a certain time, whatever time of the night it is, everybody gets an alert to their phone. That's like a countdown. And then it tells you the name of the person that you're matched with. And then you have to go. Cute. Yeah. And then you have to go and find them.
I think if you could do it with your girlfriends or guy friends, that's fun.
Yeah. And I'm like, what a novel, like fun concept. And then I'm like, I don't know.
But there are a lot more. Actually, one of my friends went to a like one at Butch McGuire's that was like a singles night or whatever. And they just like went there and she was like, it was fine. I do think those are good, but I feel like there's got to be like age parameters. Like some type of like in your 20s, in your 30s, in your 28 to 35, like something like that. Because I think as you age as well, you're like, well, I'm here with like 25-year-olds. Like, I don't want to be here with them. Because you're older and you're like, I'm not looking for you. I'm looking for someone who's more around my age, whatever. I think those are a good idea though, because I think people are yearning for like, I just want to meet someone out in person. And when you're with your buddies or you're with your friends, like takes a little bit of that pressure off. But you're right. I'd probably be like, I'm not going until one of my girlfriends was like, do you want to go? And then I'm like, okay, yeah, I'll go with you.
Like, I don't know that I mean, I'm a pretty like bold, outgoing person, but I'm just like, I don't know that I would.
It's intimidating. You're going into a space of like literally you're going to a new pond with like a ton of
But then like what
fish.
happens when you go and you mingle with somebody else and then you get your match and you're like, it's not this person I've been mingling with. Like, I don't know.
It
just
think
seems like
I guess that's weird.
It's a good, I mean, yeah. It's I saw it and I thought, I was like, this is a good concept for sure.
Yeah.
Not for me, but for all you out there.
Although maybe we should go.
We should. Like undercover.
Me, you, Thomas, and Darius. We put in our stuff and then see if we get matched. That would fuck with
Thomas
me
and I
so
would
hard.
never match. I mean, not that we would never match, but like
mentally I'd be like, this is fucked. This is fucked. But I would just want to go to like one of the singles events, just like see how it is. Like kind of like market research.
Or see how the other half is living out there.
Yeah.
Treacherous.
Wow.
That's dating for you.
Okay.
What were your real quick before we go?
Yeah.
Do you remember any of your dating app prompts or things that you wrote?
Honestly, I think it was like where I want to go on vacation, and that was like Piltvice, Croatia, Piltvice Lakes, Croatia, which you should Google. It's like the most beautiful national park in Croatia. It was like very like subtle. Like I wasn't witty, I wasn't funny. I made sure to find the prettiest photos of me, and like literally like that was it.
Yeah.
I think it was like, I teach fitness. Like, I don't know. Like a fun fact about me, like I teach fitness. It's not fun.
Yeah, I see that for you.
Like,
if I was going to guess what your profile looked like, that's exactly what I...
Exactly. Like I wasn't funny. I wasn't witty. Like I just was more like boring and like tried to put on like really pretty photos. I don't know. And then like my opening on Bumble was like, hey, how are you? Not funny. Not anything about their profile.
I used to run this... I should have charged for it. But like all of my friends would text me and be like, what do I say for this? And I'm like, send me a couple photos. The rest of the profile, spit something out in like 20 seconds. And I would come up with like the most clever shit for people to say. And then for my best friend.
Why do I have to be clever? Like I literally want to know like, how are you? Let's get into this convo and ask me on a date.
I know, but like that's the way that it seems is like you have to be this like
clever
interesting person.
Yeah.
So it was just fun. I used to do it for my best friend all the time, and then she'd be like, what's gonna happen when I show up and I'm like really shy and not this funny? He's like, you're gonna be great.
What?
You're stunning. No one cares what you actually sound like.
Exactly. What was your app like? You were funny.
I was funny. Yeah. I forget. I one of my things was like, my most controversial opinion is Friends is not a funny show. Got a lot of hits.
Oof.
People were like, Friends is not a funny show. It's not a funny show.
I like it. I laugh. What don't I laugh at?
I know. I forget, honestly, like I don't even remember what I had on there, but it was all witty. And I never was like, hey, smiley face. I was always like,
I didn't put a smiley face. I just said, hey, comma, How are you?
I'm just saying I never was like,
I know.
I would usually lead with an insult, honestly.
Your fucking
I would
profile's
be like,
stupid.
what could I pick out on this profile to insult? Maybe that's why the dating apps didn't work out for me.
Oh my God. I would lead with, hey, how are you? I think that's a great intro. Great intro.
I'd be like, man, good thing you saw a real hairstylist after that photo.
Honestly, though, some of my friends have sent me like what's out there, and I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, like what these men are doing on the apps. Like they think they're funny, but I'm like, this is actually off-putting. Like some of the things
weird.
that they
And
say
this
and
is
do.
just like a weird general service announcement for everyone. Please stop doing the weird recording things. And
What's
like
the recording thing?
You know, you can post like a prompt that's like an actual verbal response.
No,
and people get on and like,
they didn't have that back in my day.
Hey, my name's Matt, and I really like getting to the pond with my dad, and like that kind of shit.
Oh, weird.
And you're just like, or they'll like try and be funny, and it's not.
See, it's
and you
that's
just
what
sound
I mean,
like weird
like,
and breathy.
I think it's too try hard, and it just needs to be like this in person.
It is. You're trying to make yourself, or at least I was like, you want to be the cool girl. You want to seem like you
want to be your best version of yourself, and I think that's no shame in doing that. But I think you try so hard,
you overcompensate a little, and then you become not yourself.
Yes, exactly,
100%.
Okay, well, I wanted to say, if you want to show us funny profiles or like want to show us like your profile or want Taylor to look at a profile and
if you
give
need
you something
to
witty,
say,
slide into
I
our
won't
DMs.
make it an insult. I can if you want me to, but I won't. But I am very good with witty. So
very witty.
if you need, you're like, I don't know how to
look at some of our titles of our shows. I'm like,
yeah, let me know because I got you.
Also, tell us some horrendous dating stories.
No, I want to hear like the most horrendous dating stories
over them. Like, my friend has given me some dating stories, and I cry listening to them because they're so good. So,
yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Let us know how we can support you in this journey.
In the trenches.
No, in the beauty that is dating.
It's not. It's awful. But anyways.
I enjoyed a lot of it, but, well, some of it. I guess it's just like that positive mindset.
There it is.
All
right. Well, thanks for hanging with us.
This was fun. This was a good one. It started off so serious, and then it got like so silly.
Yeah, I was like, had to reverse all of my traumatic problems to become an equal partner, and then I'm like, and I was in the DMs harassing these people. Everyone's like, is this girl all right? She's all over
These men come out and they're like, oh, I went on a date with her once.
I went on a date with Taylor, and she just verbally assaulted me the entire time, and then I never wanted to speak to her again.
Good times.
Yeah. All right. Well.
Thanks for joining.
We'll see you again next Tuesday.
No, you cannot forget. We always forget this. We are available on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube as well. Slide into our DMs on TikTok and or Instagram at The Girls Are Fine. You can email us as well. Hit us up. Let us know what you want to see. We've got really fun guests coming up, like a really fun lineup through the end of the year.
I feel like we keep saying that, but we really do.
No, we do. Yeah. Like really, really fun, different walks of life. It's awesome. And as always, just remember that everything's fine.
See ya.
Bye.